Hey folks, this is Rose from In Rose's Garden, and we are going to make a simple stretchy bracelet today with some lava stones that came in my Thunderhorse Descendant inspirational bean pack. But instead of using any other beads from that, we are going to use some of my beads that came from Ireland. So let's turn down and I'll show you what we're going to do. So I have some 0.7 millimeter stretch magic. We're going to use that as our bracelet base. Then I have this beautiful piece of marble from Ireland. This is cork red. Isn't that pretty? As well as this piece of cork red, I have two little 8 millimeter beads of the cork red. And then I have 4 of Ulster white. Now Ulster white's a sort of boring one, but it's going to work in here pretty good. So I also have some little silver ball spacers. So we'll put the silver ball spacers around the cork. Actually, I think this needs something else as well, but I will go find something. So then we'll have the lava, some of the Ulster white, and the spacer between each, some more lava, then a spacer, and some more of the cork red. Then we're going to use another spacer, some more lava, spacers, and some Ulster white. And then the rest of it we'll just fill in with lava, depending on how much we're going to need. So let's see how long this actually is that we've got built here. So let's just put them into the tray. Now, since we want this to be about 7.5 inches, we need this to be about right here at 3.5 or 3 3/4, somewhere in there. So maybe we should just start from there. Now, like I say, I think I want something a little more flat around this big stone, so I'm going to find something else to add here. But then we're just going to go down the line here and see where we end up. Go back over there, Red. Now there's 7 right there. We're pretty close on it. Let's see if this ends up being at the end over here or if it goes longer. Come on, you. Now this is going to try to fall in the hole, so we'll just put the red one in here first. Oop, come here, you. Now, as you can see, we're 1 bead off of, so this is not the center. Oops, I see what our problem is here. We need to, this is not quite, come here, you. Don't want that one falling into that hole, but it just did, so, oh well, that's the way it goes. So that looks like that's going to be about what we need. These may be extra beads. We'll see when we have it all strung up how it works. But like I say, I want to get something a little wider here at the end, so this little bead is just not sitting right here in this big one, even though it's pretty tapered down to that spot. We're going to find something to put there. Now, none of these beads are going to be big enough to take the knot for the stretch magic, so I'm either going to have to put on a bigger silver bead that has a large hole, and take off one of these probably if I do that. Maybe not. It might be just fine. Or I'm going to have to put a crimp cover over the top. And I do have some really big crimp covers that would work well for that. I've also found these spacers to put here. Now I'm not sure if I'm going to leave the little round one in here with this big one here. In fact, I probably will not, but we'll see how it goes when I put it together. So first thing we're going to need is to get some of the cording out. Now I always disregard this spot right here because see, it's been sitting in there long enough that it has thinned it out. And I always make it, about 12 inches long. I need to have plenty of space to make my knot and stuff. And I'm a little picky that way. So just put that in there and cut this off. You don't need this much. I just always prefer to have extra when I am making something. So then we want to go to where this notch is at here and cut that off as well. Now I used flush cutters. You can use scissors, work just great. First thing you want to do is take your cord and stretch it. So now that we've got that stretched, I am going to put a bead stopper on one end. And then we're going to just thread this up, starting from one end and going on. Come on, you. Lava beads sometimes tricky to find their hole because they got all those little pits in them anyway. Oop. Now there is our bracelet. put another bead stopper on this side, and then we are going to see how long that ends up being on here. As you can see, it's about 7 1/4 inches. Now let's see what it is on the sizer, because it might be different on the sizer than it is on the ruler. So here's our sizer, and we'll pull it around here and see how big it ends up being. Now it looks like it's not quite 7 this direction. So the question becomes, it's pretty close to it though, but the question then has to be, do we want to use another bead on here? Do we want to just leave it at this length and hope for the best and use a crimp cover to finish it up? Or do we want to find a large hole bead that can go across the back to do that? And I do have this one, which is large hole, and it could go right between those two, and then we can tie the knot, and the knot should go down in here. And I'm thinking that's probably what we're going to do, because if it's 7 1/2, that's fine. It'll fit folks with a bigger wrist. If they have a smaller wrist, it just will not be as tight on them. So let's put the rest of these away. And we'll put those back in with my inspiration bundle in a bit. And then we're going to take one of the bead stoppers off, feed this large hole bead through. As you can see, it's going to sit just like so. And then this one will come around and meet it right here. Okay, now that we've put this large hole bead on here, I'm going to check it with the sizer again and see if it's big enough. If it's not, we're going to add a couple of more beads here. I'm thinking it's not quite, because it doesn't look like it's going all the way to 7. It looks like it's more like 6 3/4. So let's take off the large hole bead here. Well, actually, we don't even, yes, we do, because I want them to be even. So we'll take this guy back off. We'll put another spacer and a lava on. As soon as I find its hole, I think that's it. No, it's not. Is that? Yes, that's it. Then we'll put this back on this side. And we'll go to this side and put the other little spacer and the other lava stone. No. There we go. Now the next thing we want to do, now that we've got all of our pieces in place, oop, don't drop that, is we want to take our bead stoppers off and we want to start stretching it some more. You want to have it plenty stretched, because otherwise your beads will sooner or later stretch it themselves. So there's our stretching. Now we want our beads to be relatively close to each other when we tie our knot. And so what we want to do is take our 2 fingers and lay the cord over the top of them, bring them all the way around, then push the cording through both strands, grab them, bring them around, and go through a second time. That second time is very important. It's what holds them in here. Okay, so we want to go down here. We'll ease our 1 finger out and tighten it up here good. We want it really tight here, so now we are going to ease this finger out as we tighten this up. And hopefully it got it good and tight. Looks like I don't have any loose holes here. So there we go. Let's see how it fits. Tiny bit loose, but not bad at all. I like the size of it. There's no gaps in the elastic, which there would be if it wasn't big enough for my wrist. And though it is a little looser than it could be, but it's not really loose. So we'll pull this off. We'll pull this a couple of times to get that knot nice and set. And then we're going to cut off the extra strings. Now, I usually cut mine back a little bit from the knot. And then we're going to use some Hypo Cement. This is GS Hypo Cement. It stays nice and flexible as it dries. Some people say it doesn't dry all the way, which might be true, I don't know. But it will, you don't have to squish it. Just hold it upside down and it will come out and go on your knot. Once you have it on, come on, let go. Get your thing back in quick because it's going to keep wanting to come out. So then put that aside and then bring your knot into your large hole bead like so. And let it it feels like it could be a little bit tighter, but it's not bad. There's, like I say, there's no gaps showing anywhere. And that would be the indication if it was not tight enough, is if there were gaps showing. But there are no gaps showing. So there is our marble and lava stone stretch bracelet. Now I'm not going to stretch it right now because that bead is, that little bit of Hypo Cement does need to dry for a while. So we'll let it sit there for a little bit. But there is our bracelet. So there we go. There is our really pretty lava and Irish marble bracelet. I'm not going to stretch it because the glue is still a little wet and we don't want to pull it out of place. Not that it really would, because that knot is really strong. There's times I don't even bother to use any glue on it. It's a personal preference, and with that knot, it's really strong. The more you pull it, the tighter it gets instead of loosening up. So anyway, this is our marble and lava bracelet. And the lava beads came out of the Thunderhorse Descendant Inspirational Bundle Celtic March. That would be this one. The rest of the beads I got from Ireland. And so they're pretty special to me. So I hope you enjoyed making this beautiful stretch bracelet with me. And we'll talk to you later. This has been Rose from In Rose's Garden. Bye-bye.